I'm going to tell you everything you need to know before buying the RSI Scorpius JPEG, and we're starting right now. Thank you so much to all the supporters that make this channel possible. Welcome to A Star Citizen's JPEG Buyer's Guide. This is SubliminaL here, and today we'll be discussing what we know about the newly announced RSI heavy fighter, the Scorpius. In this overview, I'll give you some backstory on the Scorpius, go over its features, your purchase options, the Q&A thread, and give you my preliminary thoughts on the Scorpius. This month's ship giveaway is an LTI Nomad Game Package. Stay tuned to the end to learn how to enter. Enough with the formalities, let's get to it. From RSI's celebrated Applied Innovations Division in Keelan and the same engineers that brought you some of the galaxy's most valued war machines comes the next evolution in heavy combat, interception, and dogfighting, the RSI Scorpius. With an adaptable bi-wing configuration and revolutionary rail-mounted remote turret, the Scorpius offers an unprecedented fire coverage along with both defensive and assault-minded applications. Fully endorsed by the UEE and the glowing reports from the reckless 999th Test Squadron and Civilian Defense Force, the Scorpius is the ultimate enforcer. It is the perfect complement to any battle-ready fleet looking to make its enemies fear the sting of justice. Alright, let's just get right to it with the main feature. The Scorpion comes equipped with what RSI calls an experimental turret. This turret is developed by RSI's Applied Innovations Division. It is a remotely operated rail-mounted turret. Now, rail-mounted, what does that mean? Well, the turret has two positions, a front-facing turret that can without a doubt attack what the pilot is attacking, and with the click of a button, can shift itself to the rear to cover a retreat. Now, let's discuss this kind of confusing illustration on the turret coverage. From what I've gathered from looking at this illustration, the top position can cover a full 180-degree range, and the rear has about a 120-degree range that covers some of the top, rear, and even some below. When I initially saw this illustration, I thought the blue was the area that was shared between both turrets, but that wouldn't make sense for the side illustration. This rail function makes this, in my opinion, the most versatile turret in Star Citizen, and I'm excited to see how they can implement this one on other ships. As far as firepower, the turret totes four size 3 repeaters. This is magnificent. Now, this is a lot of firepower. However, this is the same configuration found on the Scorpius's prime competitor, the Anvil Hurricane. Now, enough with the turret, let's talk about the frame. The wings have two different configurations. The first one is open and can only be described as an X pattern. But we're going to watch how we word this one to ensure we don't get any calls from the lawyers of one of everyone's favorite sci-fi franchises. The wings also close up into a more conventional pose. I can't explain why, but when I first saw this, my excitement level doubled as I reached for my wallet. Alright, so it's got two flight modes, but which is better for space combat or Atmo combat? Which is better for keeping the wings and the weapons on them safe? Do you spread out and widen your surface area, or do you keep it in tight? The last position the Scorpius can take is its landing position. In this position, it reduces its base down to what can fit into a size 2 landing pad. This is small enough to fit in a Polaris. I think Carrack owners are going to be out of luck with this one though. Alright, let's talk more about the weapon payload. As we mentioned before, the Scorpius's turret comes with 4 size 3 laser repeaters, and if you thought that was great, the pilot has the same size hardpoints available holding gimbaled size 2s. These can of course be upgraded to fixed size 3s. This is a lot of firepower. Let's put this into perspective. With 8 size 3 hardpoints, the Scorpius has the same firepower as 2 Aegis Sabres. Yeah, it's 2 Sabres packed into a small frame. This means the Scorpius sporting 8 overclocked CF series repeaters will have almost 5,300 DPS at its disposal. Now that we know that, let's compare it to some of its competitors. The Hurricane rocking a full overclocked CF series build comes in at over 4,600 DPS. That is actually not that much of a difference if you consider the fixed size 4's extra range. I think it would be quite easy to balance these ships. Another competitor I see compared is the Vanguard series, so let's take a look at that. A Vanguard Warden with a fixed Galdarine on the nose and GVSRs in the nose, all overclocked, comes in at almost 3,200 DPS. Yikes. And if you factor in the man turret's DPS, you'll still barely be above 4,000. As for missiles, the Scorpius will come with 8 size 2s. The Hurricane has 2 size 2s, and the Vanguard can have a few options, but the Warden, for example, has 8 size 2s plus 4 size 3s. Let's go over the components. It will have the standard 583 quantum fuel capacity as most small ships. It has a size 1 quantum drive, 2 size 1 power plants for redundancy and to power all those weapons. I'm assuming 2 coolers, although it's not listed here, and 2 size 1 shield generators as per usual for a ship this size. Okay, it looks cool, check. It totes a hefty weapons payload, check. It has a large missile payload, check. It seems like power and cooling efficiency will be a breeze. I may even consider a stealth build for this. It features the most versatile remote turret in concept, check. It's certainly going to make fans of a certain sci-fi series slightly moist. You know, the one that rhymes with car doors, check. So surely the Scorpius will be slow and fragile, right? Well, there are multiple instances in the brochure where speed is mentioned. Unmatched interceptor, maximizing cruise speed, and plus its aerodynamics suggest it's no tortoise. Nothing is mentioned in the brochure about its durability, however, it gets answered in a roundabout way in the Q&A that we'll discuss later. And I know what some of you might be thinking, SubliminaL, if you're trying to say the Scorpius is overpowered, the turret requires a second person, and I agree with you. However, it seems to be only temporary. More of my thoughts on that when we get to the Q&A. All right, now that you're reaching for your wallets, let's discuss price. Concierge can scoop up the Scorpius with LTI and the Stinger paint skin for $200 War Bond. Everybody else can buy it War Bond without the skin for the same price. If you use store credit, you can upgrade to the Scorpius for around $220. I did not see a War Bond upgrade at this time of recording. And lastly, the Scorpius is available in a few packs. The Dual Enforcers pack with the Mantis, and the RSI Complete pack, of course. One really great thing to note, if you purchase the Scorpius, you will get a Super Hornet and a Hurricane as a loaner until its release in Q1 of 2022. Before I go over my overall thoughts, let's just rapid fire through the Q&A while I share my thoughts on the questions asked here. We'll start from the bottom so I can save my rant for last. They give a short-sighted answer as to why you should choose the Scorpius over the Hurricane, completely negating the first question. They explain that it sits between the Vanguard, Super Hornet, and Hurricane, but that remains to be seen. They do actually address the durability, and based on this answer, the Scorpius will be a glass cannon, based on the Hurricane also being described as such. It will have a slower combat speed than the Hurricane, and of course, won't be as long range as the Harbinger. The turret weapons can be swapped out like most ships. The fire arcs will change depending on wing position. It was designed to fit in the extra small category, so size 2 landing pads. So it means it'll fit in a Polaris. Get wrecked. The turret will not have any auto gimbal assistance. I don't know who asked these questions. When in the landing state, the weapons will be unable to be fired. It does feature 2 ejection seats. We're going to go ahead and skip this bullshit because it's the same as the last question. The turret will take 5 seconds to move from its 2 available positions. It is limited to those 2 positions only. All right, and last but certainly not least, can the turret be controlled by the pilot? By default, the turret will require a second person. However, when server blades become a thing, you will be able to add them to this, allowing it to be flown solo. In this mode, it will be locked in the forward position. If you saw my live reaction to this, you already know I have a huge problem with this. Star Citizen is going to be an MMO. That stands for Massively Multiplayer Online. Human players who decide to invest the time and energy to team up should be rewarded with an advantage over a solo player. Otherwise, why team up in the Scorpius when you could just fly 2 Sabres? Or better yet, 2 Scorpiuses. To my understanding, the goal of Star Citizen is to achieve the following hierarchy in deadliness. On the top is multi-crew with humans, followed by hiring an AI crew, and lastly, equipping server blades to control remote turrets. The latter being significantly cheaper in the long run and a lot less trouble. And then of course, you have the option of flying solo. My fear is without proper balance, there will be no need for players to crew up or team up in the verse, and that would be a travesty. Currently, if you would like to dogfight or participate in any form of combat as a lone wolf, you have the following ships: the Arrow, Gladius, and Talon light fighters, the Sabre, Super Hornet, and Banu Defender medium fighters, and finally, in the heavy range, the deadly Vanguard series, coming in at 30% less DPS than the Scorpius when flown solo. This is just to name a few of my personal favorite lone wolf ships. Now let's look at the ships for father and son, brother and brother, sister, sister, or husband and wife. They get this great, very niche ship that will be rendered useless after the Scorpius arrives. Not to mention, with the turret slaved, all of these ships will become inferior, even the Vanguard that dabbles in the same class. With my limited understanding of what server blades will do, this is not okay, and I hope they change their minds with this decision. In my opinion, this game needs to have ships that are only effective with 2 or more human players. I completely understand that there are some of you who don't agree with this opinion, and that's fine. But ask yourself this: why should I invest my time, energy, and frustrations into coordinating to get 2 players in a Scorpius when we could just fly 2 separate Scorpiuses, each with bladed turrets? Alright, with that ran over, let's get to my thoughts on the Scorpius. With everything I learned preparing for this video, I have to say I'm as excited for the Scorpius as I was for the Talon, maybe even more. A direct competitor to the Hurricane is something I'm excited to see. So needless to say, I've already purchased one. There are a couple of things I've heard from the community that I want to discuss. For those of you wondering why size 1 components when the Vanguard has size 2, I think this is completely fine. To my understanding, Star Citizen has multiple ways of defining a ship's class. 2 important ones are size and weight. The Scorpius is a small, heavy fighter. So small in size, heavy in payload. Just like the Hurricane and the famed F8 Lightning, all with small components, because the ship's size is small. The Vanguard, on the other hand, is a medium-sized heavy fighter, so it has medium-sized components and a hefty payload. Some examples are the light bomber Gladiator versus the heavy bomber Retaliator. I think you get the gist. The answer is just balance, and I think size 2 components would be too OP and probably wouldn't fit physically anyway. Another good question I saw from someone in the Q&A comments was if the turret is going to be AI slaved eventually, why not just allow this from the start like the Super Hornet? I think it's because they know it would be OP in this state and they'll address balance once blades come online. Alright, with all that said, my opinion on if you should purchase the Scorpius JPEG is a resounding yes. This will be a very important ship regardless on if we see the slave turrets at some point or not. I just hope CIG can find a balance that promotes fun gameplay for this niche in Star Citizen. This month's ship giveaway is an LTI Nomad Game Package. There are 6 ways to enter, each giving you more points and a greater chance to win. Pro tip: the redeemed Twitch channel points can be done once every live stream. If you enjoy my channel, there are so many ways to support it, ranging from free options like Prime Gaming subscriptions and sending out the UEC in the verse, sub club subscriptions, merch, to more generous forms of support. Head over to subliminalschannel.tv to learn how. Your support in all forms makes this channel possible. Even your viewership, liking, and subscribing goes a long way. To continue watching, here's a video I think you may like. Here's a video YouTube thinks you may like. And until next time, citizens, I'll see you in the verse.